How's it going, Guardians? Shifty here, and in today's video I'm going to be doing a solo run of the Grandmaster Lake of Shadows Nightfall. A couple weeks back I did a solo run of the Grandmaster Proving Grounds Nightfall using Malfeasance and Lucky Pants. In that particular Nightfall I couldn't take advantage of the fact that Malfeasance does bonus damage to taken enemies. However, I did want to take advantage of it in the Lake of Shadows, so in this one I'm going to be running a Hunter with Malfeasance and Lucky Pants. Before I get into my loadout in this one, if you end up enjoying the video, make sure to hit that like button. Also, if you enjoy solo content like Nightfalls, dungeons, and even lost sectors, make sure to subscribe to my channel as well. I put out a ton of guides each season. Most of them are geared towards solo players, but my solo guides can help you if you're in a team as well. With that said, let's hop into my loadout here. For this run, I am running Top Tree Nightstalker, and as I already mentioned, I'm running Lucky Pants. Then for my weapons, I of course have Malfeasance. In my energy slot, I have the Tyranny of Heaven Solar Bow. This is going to be for Overload champions. And in my heavy slot, I have the Tarantula Arc Linear Fusion Rifle, and this is going to be for Unstoppable champions. Then for my armor mods, I'll just quickly show you each piece of armor, and if you need to see anything in more detail, just pause the video. And that's all there is to my loadout in this one. I will be including commentary to give you some tips along the way, and there will be timestamps if you want to skip to a particular part of this strike. Otherwise, let's jump right into it. As usual, we have to make our way through that public area to get to the start of the strike. So the first enemies I want to take care of up here in Mavic Square are the Centurions off to the left. So I'm going to go ahead and take out at least one of them right away. Make sure I take out the floating orb. And now I'm going to go ahead and take out some of these Scions here. So this Grandmaster is pretty interesting. For a lot of it, you can take really safe approaches to the encounters. There are a few instances where it's hard to do so, but for the most part, you can approach each section of this Nightfall rather carefully. In my opinion, that makes this an excellent one to try out soloing Grandmasters if that's something you're interested in. So I did end up taking out most of the Scions here, and I decided to go for this Unstoppable. I'll go for the Phalanx if it comes out first, but the Unstoppable came out first this time, so I decided to go for that. I think there's one Scion left to my right, but I'm going to go for this Ravenous Taken Phalanx. As you can see, I didn't destroy that first Blight. Doing that will make it so we can avoid fighting a ton of other enemies, including some Overload champions. However, as you can see now, we do have two Unstoppable champions and a Phalanx at this next Blight. So I'm going to go ahead and try to take one of these out. You can see that Malfeasance does a significant amount of damage to these Unstoppable champions. When you're taking advantage of Lucky Pants, that is. And here it is without Lucky Pants. I did a decent amount of damage, but it was nowhere near as much as I did with Lucky Pants. Now the only enemy I have left here is this Taken Phalanx. not only do we avoid some overload champions by leaving that first Blight up, but we also avoid any taken captains and taken goblins that are in the next section. So as you can see here, I was just standing on top of the Blight and meleeing it. It's probably the safest option. And you can actually take out that second Blight. It won't cause any more enemies to spawn, but it will remove some of the taken goo from the ground, especially in this section. Makes it much safer to backtrack away from these unstoppable champions. As you can see for these two champions, I just kind of backtrack as they become unstunned, using these trees as cover. But I want to go for this one. I want to go for the weakened one. So I did gain the attention of this other one, however. That's fine. I'll just use my invisibility to get out of the situation. And I don't think I want to waste a linear fusion rifle shot, so I'm going to go ahead and use Malfeasance to see if I can finish that back one off. Perfect. As you can see, I'm also not using Gambler's Dodge, primarily because I'm not really using my melee ability, and instead I'd prefer to reload my Malfeasance when I go invisible. That way it's fully reloaded so I can take advantage of the Lucky Pants perk, which does require a fully loaded hand cannon. So now I'm going to destroy this third Blight, and then I'm going to go all the way back to that first one and destroy that. Now that I've taken that first Blight out, we can move on to the next area of the strike. There will be a boss enemy and a couple overload champions before we do, however. So I like to head off to the left here. It's a little bit of a safer option. I'm going to go ahead and try to super here. Anytime there's a Centurion-like enemy, you have to be careful for those orbs that they shoot out. So now we have two overload champions in the back. I'm going to kind of peek shoot one at a time. That's why I chose to go for this rightmost one. That way the second one can't shoot me. I'll just strategically use this corner here. And once that one's down, I'm going to go ahead and do the same thing for the next one. Use my Malfeasance to do a decent chunk of damage here. I got it about halfway down. I decided to use a couple linear fusion rifle shots since my Lucky Pants were not ready yet. If you can't tell, I don't have my charged and uncharged melee bound to different buttons yet. Primarily just because I've been too lazy to do so. I'm going to wait for these Thrall to spawn. And then we want to go for the Solar Shielded Captain. Primarily why I chose the Tyranny of Heaven bow is because of these solar shields. Now, if you don't have the Tyranny of Heaven bow, but you have access to the Last Wish raid, you do have a chance to get it solo. I just posted a video the other day on how you can get up to 5 chests solo in the Last Wish raid. And the Last Wish is different from other raids in that you don't have to complete it or get gear beforehand to get some of the gear from the chests. With that in mind, you can get the Tyranny of Heaven bow without even doing the raid. You just have to keep opening those chests every week and hope you get lucky. Instead of the bow, you might get some other weapons or you might get some armor as well. But I think it's worth trying out if you don't have those weapons. So here you just got to be careful and take out a couple more solar shielded captains. So it's nice being full up on heavy here. I'm going to try to lure one of these unstoppable champions into the doorway here. There we go. Here comes one of them. Be ready with my linear fusion rifle and stun again. Use Malfeasance to get it weak, and then hopefully I can finish it here. Perfect. That's my general strategy for the unstoppable champions when I'm using this loadout. So as you can see, I stun it, then I use my Lucky Pants Empowered Malfeasance, I go invisible, wait for the second stun, then use the regular Malfeasance to get it low enough that I can finish it. As you can see, it worked pretty consistently with both of those unstoppable champions. Now I want to take care of this Sniping Vandal real quick. And I want to take out these two phalanxes right in front of me. So as you can tell, I kind of take enemies out in the order in which they're a threat. That Vandal Sniper probably could have one-shot me if it got a decent hit on me. Then I went for the two taken phalanxes, which could actually shoot at me. Now that I've kind of cleared out this opening area of the outside of the dam, I'm going to go ahead and take out this Overload Champion that's up top here. When you're at this distance, that Overload Champion cannot shoot at you. This is something I was talking about at the beginning of the strike. There are safe ways to approach a lot of areas in this one. So this Overload Champion could be a big threat. However, in this instance, it's no threat at all. So this can take a while if you're just going to spam bow shots like I am. However, I think that it may be worth it if you're concerned about the danger of some of these champions. From this spot, I also like to try to take out some of the Vandal snipers way over by the mini-boss for the area. As you can see with a bow, it's actually pretty effective. There's 3 Vandals in total, and I was able to take out all 3 of them. Alright, now I'm going to push forward a little bit. Every once in a while, you can actually take out the lower Overload champion from way back there as well. However, I'm actually going to do it from right up here. Alright, see if I can take out some of these Scions quick. They can kind of shoot you if you're up here, depending on the angle they get on you. Alright, now I'm going to go for this Overload. So what I like to do here is kind of peek shoot over the edge of the platform I'm standing on. I generally try to go for just 2 linear fusion rifle shots. That way I can get some more bow shots into the Overload so it doesn't heal. Make sure I reload, swap back to the bow so it doesn't heal. Even if the champion is not able to be stunned again with an Overload round, shooting with an Overload shot will prevent it from healing. Alright, so that Overload is down. There's going to be 2 more champions in this area, but we don't have to worry about them quite yet. Alright, there's going to be some Scions off to my left. That smoke there should prevent them from rushing me and using a melee ability on me. Alright, the Scions are cleared out. I'm going to try to go for the boss here, or at least get a little bit of damage off. If you do use this same spot, you do have to be careful for this taken cannon on the wall. I'm going to head out and around here. I couldn't get an angle on the boss here very well, so I decided to go for this unstoppable champion instead. His health bumped up there again a little bit. Alright, so that was one of 2 champions that were left. There's still going to be an Overload champion over in that spot. It's just a matter if I can get an angle on it. Sometimes you can lure them out by shooting shots near them. Not having much luck here. I hear the mini boss shooting fire attacks, so I'm going to go ahead and try to take that out next. Alright, the only enemy I have left here is this Overload champion. Doesn't seem to want to peek out at any particular spot, so I'm going to go ahead and leverage my invisibility to get near it. Now this one is a bit risky, especially since I'm so close, but as long as you keep shooting it with your bow frequently, you shouldn't have to worry too much about any dangerous attacks or it healing. With Overload champions, it's often key to peek shoot them. Also, explosive payload on a bow is an excellent perk for Overloads. So I'm going to prioritize these taken thrall right here first. Then I want to try to go for this taken knight up here. Oftentimes it is being shielded by taken goblins. Alright, it's being shielded by a second goblin up there, but I did get a bit of damage off. This is one of those parts that may or may not be dangerous no matter what you do, because you did have this champion off to the left, and then you're kind of relying on that goblin up top to pop out so that you can take it out, so it stops shielding the taken knight. That was lucky. Gonna kind of let the unstoppable champion back off a little bit there. Put some space between me and it. And just like that, it's less than 1/3 of its health. I didn't even have to use any more Malfeasance to weaken it there. So I don't know how much this is going to help, but I'm going to go ahead and try and super right there. No, there's a Overload champion up there as well as a Solar Shielded Knight. There may be a Goblin up there, but I'm not quite sure. I might have already taken that out. I'm going to try to go for the Knight first, and then I can focus solely on that Overload champion. Stunning the Overload champion is helpful, though. At this part, you have to be particularly careful for the Overload champion attacks, as well as the fire from the Knight. So you can shoot through these metal beams, however it can be somewhat inconsistent. And there's some of that fire I warned you about. See if I can get a stun off here. I found that you have to aim a little bit higher than where you intend to shoot here between the grates. As you can see, I kept hitting the bar there, so I went up a little bit. And you can kind of see that here as well. Alright, so the Knight is down. All I have to worry about now is the Overload champion. Prevent the heals. It's going to start going up the stairs here, so I'm going to kind of head down here so I can get an angle still. If the Overload champion makes you nervous, whenever it's charging its attack, just get behind cover again. Alright, so once we head up these stairs, there's going to be another Solar Shielded Knight and some Goblins. I'm going to go ahead and try to take out the Goblins right away so they don't shield it. Perfect. Now all I have left is the Taken Knight. There's a whole pack of goblins in this next room off to the left here, as you can see. I don't want to push into the room because there is a void shielded wizard we have to worry about, so I'm going to try to take out as many goblins from this doorway as I can. I think there's one more goblin left in there. And now we want to go for this void shielded wizard, and that was an extremely close call on my part. I had to use a grenade to break its shield. But once my grenade did break its shield, that was relatively painless. Careful for the thrall in this room. right up here, there's going to be an overload champion. You're going to want to be careful for that. I'm going to try to lure it out here with some bow shots. Doesn't seem to be working too well right now. So while I wait for that overload to decide to come out, I'm going to go for some of the scions. It's weak enough where I'm just going to finish it off with my bow. Next up, the scions in the middle of the room here. As you can see, there's also an orange bar goblin up behind them. Every once in a while, we'll shield one of the scions. It's not too big of a deal usually. As you can see, bows are excellent weapons for Grandmaster Nightfalls because peak shooting is king. As you can see, bows are excellent weapons for Grandmaster Nightfalls because peak shooting is an immensely useful tool. So there is going to be an overload champion up here. Sometimes it's off to the right, sometimes it's off to the left like this. If it's off to the left like this, it's actually pretty easy to take out. You can hop up to where I went to, and you can kind of peek shoot it like I've been doing. You can even shoot it in the hand if you want to. And there's going to be one more overload champion here before the boss fight. And it's going to be up this next staircase. Right there. Again, employing the peek shoot tactic. Since this is a safe overload to take out, I don't really want to waste any of my heavy ammo here. I could have used Malfeasance, but my bow is working just fine right now. And now we're approaching the boss room. So for the start here, I'm just going to stay up top until I take out the Solar Shielded Knight. The Solar Shielded Knight will push out of the taken Blight here. Makes it relatively easy to take out. And then when the knight is down, I'm going to head down to take out the 2 thrall. And now that I'm ready to start the boss fight, I'm going to hop on top of the Blight and go ahead and melee it. Now I will be using a cheese spot for this boss fight, which I'm going to show you as soon as I destroy the Blight. So when the Blight is one shot, I'm going to hop down here, be ready to hop in the cheese spot. To do so, you want to hop up on here, then on this device on the wall. And this jump is kind of difficult on a hunter sometime, but you want to hop up on this little ledge. I'm going to go invisible for my own safety, so I can hop up here. Then you have to kind of jump outwards and then onto the roof. You'll get a joining allies prompt, but if you hop over here, that will go away. And from up here, we can take out the boss. Now for the most part, this is a pretty safe spot. There are going to be a couple of knights that spawn throughout this boss fight that you have to take out, otherwise their fire is going to destroy you. So I'll kind of talk about that once they do end up spawning. I think one of them spawning right now, right below me. Here, I accidentally forgot I did not have a solar linear fusion rifle. I have to use my bow to break the solar shield. I'm going to go ahead and do that. So as you may have noticed, you can kind of hop up on this ledge right in front of you. It is a little bit more dangerous. However, I need to do it in order to take this knight out. If you want to approach that situation safely, all you have to do is hop up there, break its shield, and then get like one linear fusion rifle shot off. Then hop back down onto the cement ledge and go to a different spot and repeat the process. You can even employ invisibility. So once this boss gets weak enough here, we are going to have another knight down low that we're going to want to deal with. That one will not be standing on a platform. Instead, it will be standing down low, as you can see, with a bunch of scions. So I'm going to wait for my invisibility here. Then I'm going to go ahead and super down there and try to take it out. I'm not sure why it wasn't taking a substantial amount of damage there. You could see the hit numbers actually hitting it pretty good. But unfortunately, I wasn't actually doing the damage that was indicated. I am out of linear fusion rifle ammo, so I'm going to have to rely on some other method here. That again was another risky situation. So I'm going to kind of employ the strategy I mentioned earlier. I'm going to hop up, get a couple shots, and then move to a different location. Use my invisibility. Hop up again. And then get another couple of shots off. Just like that. It's not the fastest strategy, but it's definitely a lot safer. Because you want to avoid the night fire at all costs. Alright, that knight is down. You can also see how shield break charge is immensely useful in this particular boss fight, because you can keep breaking any solar shields and you'll gain stacks of charged with light, which will then allow you to have protective light available again. And as far as I know, those are the only two knights you have to worry about in this particular boss fight when you're in this cheese spot. So now all we have to do is kind of avoid any shots from the boss and the occasional scion shot, and we can just spam our bow or Malfeasance at the boss. As you can see, the boss's shield does kind of make it a little bit difficult every once in a while. And there is one advantage to using the overload bow instead of Malfeasance every once in a while. When you hit an enemy with overload shots, it actually reduces the damage they do by a little bit. I can't remember the exact numbers right now, but I want to say it's 30%. So I was going to go ahead and take out that knight to the left, but I decided not to. Instead, I'm going to use its solar shield to regain my stacks of charged with light. And I'm going to primarily be focusing on the boss here. I decided to go ahead and take the knight out anyway. I already have max stacks of charged with light. So as you can see, this boss fight is going to take a little bit of time up here, but it's so much safer than being down on the ground. So if you're just looking to get a solo Grandmaster completion, I highly recommend this cheese spot. Alright, so I don't technically have to worry about the goblins down there. However, the goblins could end up shielding the boss, so I may want to take them out. As you can see, more goblins spawn and one of them did end up shielding the boss. So it may be important to take out a couple of them. However, they generally just try to shield other enemies around them and not the boss. Alright, I'm coming down to the home stretch here. Doesn't have too much health left. And there we have it, the boss is down. That is a solo completion of the Grandmaster Lake of Shadows Nightfall on a Hunter in Season of the Lost. I hope that this video helped you out if you're heading in solo or trying it with a team. Anyway, that is it for today's video. If you ended up enjoying it, make sure to like and subscribe. I just want to thank you for watching and I'll catch you on the next one.